is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, September 25th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Jamaica lawmakers debate pot decriminalization from ABC News. Lawmakers on Tuesday debated a proposal to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of marijuana for personal use by adults in Jamaica, where many islanders are expressing weariness with current drug policy, with some arguing that pot could become a major force for the struggling legitimate economy if it was no longer relegated to the underground. Some lawmakers complained that the current law results in about 300 young men receiving criminal records each week for possessing small amounts of ganja, creating a growing pool of unemployable people on the Caribbean island. In 2001, a government-appointed commission recommended legalizing the private use and possession of small amounts by adults. The decriminalization effort stalled largely due to anxiety over angering the United States. But now that a growing number of U.S. states are loosening their pot laws and voters in Washington and Colorado legalized it, some advocates say the old fear is now baseless. Rastafarian teen cleared to carry pot pipe in Minnesota from hightimes.com. The Minnesota Supreme Court has ruled that a 15-year-old Rastafarian boy has the religious freedom right under Minnesota law to carry a pot pipe at all times as part of his religious practice and a reminder of his faith. The teen testified that he carries his pipe with him as a reminder of his faith and so that he can, quote, perform what needs to be performed, which is smoking, end quote. He stated that the colors that appear on his pipe, red, yellow, and green, have religious significance, quote, red for the blood of the martyrs, yellow for the sun that grows the greens, the sacred herb, the purity of nature, end quote. And he testified that even when he is not actively practicing his religion, quote, I do remind myself of it at all the time, quote. Michael Kemp, the boy's attorney, said he won a reversal because he successfully argued the state's enforcement of the drug paraphernalia in this case, quote, was a burden on the teen's religion, end quote. Kemp continued, quote, the fatal flaw in the state's argument was to rely on arguing the state's interest in enforcement of controlled substances laws and ending their argument there, end quote. Pot smokers welcome to light up at the Grand Rapids Howard Johnson from cranesdetroit.com. The Howard Johnson franchise on 28th Street in Grand Rapids has seen occupancy soar since owner Bob Sullivan made a seemingly unfashionable business decision: accommodate smokers. And not just the tobacco variety, Sullivan caters to marijuana smokers as well. 20 rooms already have been renovated to accommodate smokers, and by the time Sullivan's done, 60 to 80 of the hotel's 155 rooms will allow smoking, accommodating medical marijuana patients as well as tobacco smokers. Sullivan, who himself does not smoke cigarettes or marijuana even for medicinal use, estimates occupancy is up 50% since he started renovating the rooms. Renovations have included opening each room up with sliding doors and installing a patio with a tall fence around it to provide privacy. Under the state's smoke-free air law, which went into effect in May of 2010, tobacco smoking is prohibited inside places where people work, including hotels, bars, and restaurants. But the law doesn't apply to smoking outside, hence the outdoor patios, and the law also doesn't mention cannabis smoke. Colorado introduces new standards for marijuana-infused foods from foodsafetynews.com. The Marijuana Enforcement Division of Colorado's Department of Revenue published the permanent rules related to the Colorado Retail Marijuana Code on September 9th. Amendment 64 also directed the Department of Revenue to govern retail sales by creating licensure regulations, labeling requirements, health and safety regulations, advertising restrictions, and civil penalties. The new rules governing retail sales of marijuana-infused foods essentially fall into three categories: required labeling, optional labeling, and required labeling when a certified lab performs tests. Things required on the label include the license numbers of the facilities where the marijuana ingredients were grown and manufactured, a complete list of non-organic pesticides and herbicides used during cultivation, and a list of warning statements including, quote, this product was produced without regulatory oversight for health, safety, or efficacy, end quote. Fewer Northampton teens view marijuana as harmful, survey says, from masslive.com. Fewer Northampton high schoolers view marijuana as harmful than in past years, according to a recent survey done by Northampton Prevention Coalition. In 2007, approximately 62% of Northampton high school seniors indicated they viewed marijuana as harmful, whereas only 42% reported the same in 2013. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, September 25th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines to look at a growing trend in the framing of butane hash oil among the media as the crack of marijuana. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.